Ah, that wasn't very good, was it? Nah, nah. Well, keep working at it. Eventually I'll figure it out. Yeah. In the meantime, good morning. Mm, morning tea. Beautiful thing, really. In the corner of the balcony today. The sun is moving south in the horizon to sunrise. Uh, tilt of the earth giving rise to the seasons. Yeah. Why do creationists insist that there are no transitional species? It's not as though we don't have obvious transitionals. I mean, Pakicetus is transitional on the road to fully aquatic whales. Australopithecus is transitional on the way to humans. Archaeopteryx is transitional on the way to birds, and Tiktaalik is transitional on the way to just about everything that lives on land. Yeah. Oh, wow. So we have these four perfect examples of transitional species, and creationists just deny and deny and deny and obfuscate and make excuses and dance and dodge and try to avoid dealing with them. And they will not acknowledge that they are transitionals, even though they are transitionals. The horse sequence is a series of transitional species leading up to modern horses, and it's very well researched. And creationists will make the excuse that, oh, well, the lineage isn't correct. That's been known since the 1950s, as though they're surprising us. And sometimes they'll bring up Piltdown Man, as though this somehow refuted transitional species, when in fact all it does is demonstrate that patriotic fraud was rife in England in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, as British clergy and politicians who knew nothing of science and cared nothing about science tried to create a primitive ancient Englishman to compete with the German Neanderthal and the French Cro-Magnon. And incidentally, the resulting Piltdown specimen was immediately recognized as contradicting the predictions made by evolutionary theory, which is that the most primitive humans would be found not in Europe, but in Africa. A prediction that has since been borne out, but which was deeply offensive to patriotic and racist Englishmen of the time, who could not bring themselves to think that we were descended from Africans. But of course, even Darwin was deeply upset by the implication made by evolution that he, a proper Englishman, might be related to Irishmen. Ooh, Irishmen. What a terrible thing to say to a proper Englishman of that period. Related to Irishmen? How dare you say something so appalling? Yes. And that is just 19th century racism right there. Unfortunately, it has carried forward into the 20th and 21st centuries. And yeah, it's another topic. But what's important is that human evolution has also been well traced, and nobody has ever claimed that Piltdown Man was part of human evolution. Indeed, quite the opposite. The people who first posited Piltdown Man as an ancestor of all Englishmen posited him as solely the ancestor of Englishmen, and having been created by the God of the Anglican Church. But that again is another story. Suffice to say that we are overwhelmed with real transitionals, and the very, very, very few, vanishingly few fakes have all been discovered, exposed, and refuted because they did not fit. They did not fit evolutionary theory. And as a result, they were questioned and exposed. And they were not exposed by creationists. They were exposed by scientists, paleontologists, evolutionary biologists, using the theory of evolution as their foundation. Something to think about. You don't get good paleontology by reading the Bible. You get it by digging into the dirt, into the rocks, into the strata, and studying the bones that you find. It's the wonderful thing about science. It is self-correcting. It learns, and it is self-correcting. Creationists would rather die than correct themselves. And when corrected, go back and repeat the same mistakes over and over again. Science works.